Everybody enjoys a good story. Even more, people enjoy a story based off of real events and people, like Moneyball or The Social Network. Both movies are inspired by real events, but they retell an engaging story along with some excellent acting. But I'd like to turn attention to another movie, also based off of real events. All the President's Men, a movie written from a book that is itself a retelling of real events, follows two journalists in the uncovering of the Watergate scandal. But first, let me spin the tale of the Watergate scandal. Abridged, of course. It is June 17th, 1972. An excuse of a covert team known as the White House Plumbers attempts to break in and wiretap the Democratic National Convention headquarters at the Watergate complex. They are caught and arrested for burglary at 2:30 a.m., the news publishing on it the next morning. Martha Mitchell, the wife of the then Attorney General John Mitchell, recognizes the name of one of the burglars, James McCord Jr. She recognizes him from the CRP, or CREEP, the Committee to Re-elect the President, meaning this guy works for Nixon. Two reporters, Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, begin following the money trail of the burglars. The money leads to E. Howard Hunt, a former CIA intelligence officer. Howard Hunt is connected to Charles Colson, Nixon's attorney, political advisor, and hatchet man. Once again, they all work for Nixon. Later that year, the burglars are indicted and all five eventually plead guilty. The CRP's wrongdoings and misuse of election funds for the purpose of wiretapping and espionage are revealed, being traced back to Nixon and leading to his eventual resignation. The book, written by Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward, the same reporters that uncovered the scandal, is an excellent read. The movie adaptation is also excellent and brings one of the largest political scandals in American history to life and to the big screen. But that's it. There is no helpful epilogue that lists the slew of laws passed following the incident. No list of scandals that occurred after Watergate. One, because that would ruin the movie and probably make no sense. But two, and more importantly, because nobody is looking forward that far. There seems to be a serious lack of analysis of what Watergate meant for Americans as citizens and voters. These analyses do exist. I'm making one right now. But there's no big push to make sure something like this never happens again in the year 2025. Instead, America views incidents such as Watergate as a great story, a great movie, or a great book, and then moves on with their daily lives. This is flawed for a few reasons. Before we get into me telling you why you're wrong and how to think, it's important to establish a few things. One, Watergate is an excellent story. There's no denying that. Two, there was real change following Watergate. And three, there is not nearly enough focus on that change. For example, immediately after Watergate, a cornucopia of acts, laws, and bills were passed to combat corruption, bribery, and espionage. These are still in effect today and have real consequences for voters and how they view their politicians. One such action, the Federal Campaign Act amendments, regulated money spent and raised during the election process. This was a direct response to the misuse of campaign funds by Nixon and required that candidates disclose contributions and expenditures in campaigns for office. Others exist, but the point I want to make is that real change was born following Watergate, and it affects everybody 50 years later. That point is often missed because it's much easier to enjoy All the President's Men as a great movie about investigative journalism and political espionage. What it's hard to do is accept that a massive scandal jeopardized the electoral process and changed our modern political landscape. Following Watergate, the voter and politician relationship changed. The trust that existed in local politicians was gone, replaced by the looming threat of corruption and underhanded deals, which Watergate had blown the doors wide open on. When the public fails to demand adequate change after an event like Watergate, it means that we missed the point entirely. It shows politicians that they don't need to be more honest, accountable, or sincere. They just have to be sneakier. This is a sign that nobody cared enough after Watergate to hit the root of the problem. Nobody cared enough to demand sufficient accountability and transparency from their politicians. This is an aspect of the modern political landscape that I hate, and I think it needs to change.